Hello, welcome back to Elden Ring. So, as you may know, if you've been a member on the Discord for any number of days, I suppose, any amount of time, that's the word that I wanted. So, as you know, this episode, and it will also be in the title, but this episode will be post commentary. I didn't check to see whether there would be, like, whether my mic was on, which was very stupid of me. So right now you can just see that I've been, I showed on the map what I did in between the last episode and this one. Essentially just running all the way down, doing some exploring in Dragon Barrow. Not a whole lot there. Literally just running. There was nothing interesting. Although Dragon Barrow is pretty cool. So I've got 2 hours to talk. And I asked some questions and I got pretty much no serious answers of what I should talk about, and so I am going to essentially just talk about my thoughts on the game, and then see where it goes from there. You know, like, this is going to be very freeform. It's just going to be basically a podcast of me just talking about stuff. So, sorry, my voice is a little bit weird today, but essentially, yeah. So let's start with the first impressions, I suppose, of this game, and well, not really the first impressions, because excuse me, I'm just about to finish the game. I don't know why I'm faffing around on the map for so long. I guess I'm looking for something, but I can't really remember. This is quite a while ago for me. But that's a good place to start, right? Is that the thing that has really captivated me about Elden Ring, and I play a lot of it off camera as well, just, you know, exploring, trying to find the next interesting place that we can go for an episode. I've got 3 interesting places. I don't even know. Like, I'm just about at the end of the game, pretty much. I could go to the end of the game if I wanted to, right? But I wanted to do more exploring. I wanted to find out, like, the last little kind of, like, tidbits of things that are still missing. So that's definitely one of the, like, the biggest draws for me, is that I can just sit down and play. I can just sit down and wander, and I love it. I love that I can just sit down and play this game with you know, Dark Souls or Bloodborne. Bloodborne is my favorite game of all time, right? But I still need to be, like, in the mood to play Bloodborne. You know what I mean? Like, because it is so, like, oppressive in its atmosphere, it's really hard to just sit down and play Bloodborne. You know what I mean? Especially because I've played the absolute shit out of it. Like, I've gotten to the stage where pretty much nothing, like, there's no surprises anymore. It's just me trying to experiment with a whole bunch of different builds, whatever weapon interests me. But with Elden Ring, I suppose also because it's so new, it's just, I can endlessly just sit down and play this game, and I love it. I love that I can just sit down. I don't even have to think about what I'm doing. You know, I can just look at the map, find something that's interesting on the map, and just go. And always on the way, I'm gonna find something else, right? Like, I didn't think for a really long time. Oh yeah, this is me first finding that the steel wire torch is awesome. I still need to upgrade that, by the way. I haven't upgraded it at all. So, what was I saying? Yeah, so like I find some interesting landmark on the way, and then there's always something else on the way to the thing that I thought was interesting that is also interesting. It's like, it feels like Breath of the Wild, where you can just wander and then you'll find something interesting. I love it. It's just one of those games, you know? I don't know if I can actually get hurt by my own fire. I don't think I can, but I'm just remarking on the steel wire torch. But okay, I can. I definitely can, because I got knocked back by the land octopus. So one thing that really gets me about Elden Ring so far is just like the total God, that's embarrassing. It's just the total freedom. You know, you can just go wherever you want. Like every route essentially has a way that you can just skip one of the demigods and go somewhere else. You know, like the big one that we saw maybe a couple of episodes ago now, when we got to Liurnia, was when we we saw the huge shortcut that just goes around Stormvale Castle. It's pretty well hidden, but it's definitely like doable. Like you can definitely find it if you're looking for it, right? And so it's stuff like that that makes things endlessly replayable. You know, maybe I want to build Sorcerer, right? I just want to build like an arcane build of some kind. And it's just, I want to, you know, I really want to use some of like the later game spells on Godric, you know, like, because he's an asshole. I mean, I love his fight, but he's an asshole. So it's just one of those games where you can just endlessly experiment, especially because, like, even compared to like Dark Souls, like Bloodborne didn't have that many weapons, but Dark Souls definitely had a lot of weapons. But Elden Ring just has so many, and you can just endlessly experiment. Find a weapon that you like, and then you'll find another weapon that you think is really cool. Like, for me, you guys know, because it's part of my brand, that I love greatswords. But the thing is that there are so many fucking cool greatswords in this game that it's really hard to pick one. And so we could be here all day in trying to debate whichever greatsword is the best one, because it really depends on what build you're going for. Like, I thought that I would just go pure strength build. All I would use was the greatsword, like the Guts greatsword, the one that's, you know, the classic one that's been in every FromSoft game ever since Demon's Souls, because Miyazaki loves Berserk. But it's, you know, like, it's still awesome, and it's still a really good weapon, but you know, I've fought Radahn now, which will be in one of the later episodes. I'm not sure which one, but Radahn's greatswords are now my new main weapon, and so my build changed from strength, like pure strength, into strength intelligence, because I love how those greatswords play, and that's the whole thing about Elden Ring, is that you can just keep on discovering new shit that you want to play with, and you know, it's ooh. Ouch. Well. Yeah. But I learned from my mistakes for that. That's the other thing, right? Is that, you know, this game is just so endlessly replayable. You know, you die and then you go, oh, okay, well, I know how to get back there really easily, so it's fine. It's perfect. I mean, it's not perfect, and we'll get into that, but it is so close, and I think that's why a lot of it bugs me. You know, I've been gushing about how much I love this game, but there are definitely some things that are not good. And I think one of the big ones, at least for me, and it may not be for you, please, you know, let me know if this is the case for you guys. But for me, even with the Stake of Marika, right? Like, we always get, like, if there's a field boss that is quite a way out of the way, then usually we get a Stake of Marika that's really close, so that we can just respawn where it is, right? The thing is, even with the Stake of Marika, it takes so long to figure out where some things are, right? Or like, sorry, not where some things are, but like, what am I saying? Like answers to boss combos. Boss combos in this game are brutal. And it's one of the things that I don't particularly enjoy about this game. I enjoy a lot about this game. Oh, I just walked right past that smithing stone. Okay, well, whatever. It's not a huge deal. Yeah, thanks to that guy for showing me the that there was no invisible wall there. Yeah, I have lots of smithing stone for, and then we get Alexander.
Oh, this was supposed to be a dead end. I'm sure of it. What's going on here? A door from thin air. Well, stranger things happen at sea, or so I'm told. But onward to the Caelid Wilds. Gosh, that dead end had me rather stumped. It's time I to the festival at Redmane Castle on the southern edge of the scarlet rot blighted Caelid Wilds. Doesn't the thought just set your heart aflutter?
Yeah. I love how, you know, we essentially have another Siegmeyer slash, you know, whatever his name was in, it wasn't Siegfried. Sieg something. I love that we've got another one, you know. And then I'm just like, wait, holy shit. I get in the Gale Tunnel and then I end up back here? What the fuck? Yeah, and that's when you know, I realized that there was more than one tunnel in this game that actually led somewhere, rather than, you know, just the coastal cave, essentially. So, what was I saying? Boss combos, that's right. So the problem with boss combos, and I kind of get what the game is trying to do. Like, it's trying to force you to level vigor a lot for you to kind of really understand the like that scaling works differently in this game. Right, so even with 40 vigor, it's not enough to tank a lot of the boss combos. I was reading a thing lately that the scaling really starts to drop off at about 60. And so, you know, yeah. This fight is nasty. Or at least it was. So, that's a perfect example of what I mean by a boss combo, though. Is that I thought, because of how many times he did it. Look at that one shot, by the way. Oh my god. That's because I didn't have enough vigor. This is my first time trying out Spirit, by the way. I just haven't done it before. So yeah, I'm using a Stormhawk, and it's awesome. I mean, it's not awesome. It gets killed very, very quickly. Because even though it's literally sitting on, like, it's flying above the lava. It should not be getting hit by the lava, but it gets hit by lava. Anyway. But that right there was a perfect example, right? Because I thought that literally the only move that guy did was do the charge, right? I didn't think it did anything else. I thought it was just the charge. It took me, you know, this is what, my third try, to realize that he had more than one move. But I mean, of course he was going to have more than one move. It just really depended on, you know, actually surviving long enough to see it. But now I know the answer to that move, so I don't get hit by it that much. Unless I'm sitting right in front of it, which does happen. So there are plenty of refights with this guy. This guy is kind of basic compared to the other ones, but it's a good warm up for the ones that we'll fight later. He's also very, very tanky. But yeah, so boss combos, you know, there's been memeing about the boss combos, especially Millennia, for ages now. But I think there is some merit to it where you just, because you die so fast, and this happens like even with Margit, like we've seen how my fights with Margit went. There were essentially combos that, like in the second phase, that I just couldn't learn because I would just die from them immediately instead of having a chance to like learn the timings. So I would have to die, get to the second phase again, and then die like immediately. So keep experimenting, but each experiment would take like, you know, 2 to 3 minutes for me to get to that point. And so, you know, it's I think that if boss damage was a bit more forgiving, I'm not saying a lot more, just a bit more forgiving, then, you know, then it's such a hard thing to try and, especially because, you know, like From Software worked on this game for God knows how long. There's been reports that have been coming out lately about crunch times and, you know, low compensation for their work, and it's really disheartening because, you know, a lot of us a lot of us adore these games, right? We all adore From's games, apart from Dark Souls 2. But I mean, some of us even adore Dark Souls 2. You know, Jupiter, who I play Genshin with all the time and hang out with pretty much all the time. You know, she loves Dark Souls 2. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing at all. It's just not, I don't like it very much. Especially Scholar. I played the shit out of Dark Souls 2 vanilla, but I really don't like Scholar. But that's another discussion that we can get into later, I suppose, because we've still got, oh my god, an hour and a half. So now, so that's my big issue, right? Is boss combos and just dealing outrageous amounts of damage. Because it makes bosses not fun. You know, like, and that's the whole draw of a From title, right? Is the bosses and how good they are. And if a whole bunch of the bosses are just liable to just decimate you with like 1 or 2 hits, you know, and the combos come out like insanely fast, then it's really difficult to kind of justify that, you know. We can argue until we're blue in the face about how difficult we think Elden Ring should be. I think that Elden Ring should be difficult, right? Like, but it should be difficult with the opportunity to learn. It shouldn't be off-puttingly difficult. Because that, by the way, is the worst ambush ever. It's just one wolf sitting behind me, falling asleep, and he just sits there and waits to die. But see, that's a good ambush. That's a good one. He was just hiding in the thing. It wasn't too punishing because, you know, he's not that strong. He just jumps out and he hits you. He gives you a bit of a scare, and then you're able to regroup and fight back. That's a good ambush. Instead of a wolf just being asleep behind you. Oh, this section. I remember this. So the issue with boss damage for me basically just comes down to, I don't mind dying to a boss. You know, that's part of the experience. I should die to the boss. It's how quickly I die to the boss. And that's the difficult thing to justify, at least in my head, where, you know, I have no opportunity to learn because I die so quick. You see what I mean? And so, like, we can you know, talk about, you know, the justification and how you should be leveling vigor a lot more than we usually do in the Souls title, but at the same time, and there's people that do this hitless, by the way. Like, you know, the game came out almost a month ago. Yeah, almost a month ago. It came out on the 25th of Feb, and as of recording, this is the 18th of March. And I think this comes out tomorrow. I think so, yeah. So, that's a terrible jump. So where was this editing before? I thought I was going to be aggressive with this, but apparently I just skipped like a huge chunk. Whatever, it's fine. So, and I figured that was the way to the boss, so I just didn't go that way. Which it turns out, obviously, that I was correct. But yeah, having to block off the learning of moves behind, you know, whatever it is, 2-3 minutes of boss fight that you've already learned, then it's you know, it's just frustrating. And I don't think that the justification of From expects you to level more into Vigor without a clear... I mean, I suppose how clear can you be in a From title rather than just everything killing you in 1 or 2 hits? But it's... I don't know. It's so strange to me that they can have, you know, like, let me think about this. In other games, right, at the very least, or in other From titles, and I know that we shouldn't use that as a justification for what we're thinking, but because Elden Ring is its own thing. But, you know, if Elden Ring is going to really, really obviously take from the Dark Souls formula, and it's fine that it does. Please don't make me think that it doesn't, that it can't do that. But, you know, we have the expectation that it's going to, you know, vaguely play like a Souls game. And so that's, you know, where the expectation of, you know, in pretty much every Souls game, as well as Bloodborne, the hard cap has always been, or not the hard cap, but the soft cap for levels has always been at 40, maybe 50. You know? In Bloodborne it was 50, in Dark Souls 3 it was 40, in Dark Souls 2 and 1 I think it was also 50. So, you know, there's plenty there. Like, there's plenty of precedent there for us to expect that it kind of works the same way. But it absolutely does not work the same way. They have essentially just, you know, come up with a whole new scaling system for Elden Ring. And it totally makes sense. But the expectation is there. And that's the issue. So... this Blue Dancer Charm, by the way, I have a feeling that it's going to be, especially now that the patch is out. Patch came out yesterday. Patch 1.03 came out yesterday. And you know, now that the patch is out, I feel like light, nimble builds are going to be a lot more viable. Either that or meme builds. But probably both. You know? Like, we'll probably get to the stage where like, I don't know if the Blue Dancer Charm increases all damage output or just physical damage output, because if it increases magic damage output, then the whole thing gets blown right open, right? Like, we can you know, use essentially Flynn's ring, because that's basically what it is. The Blue Dancer Charm is basically just Flynn's ring. Use Flynn's ring just to, you know, do insane amounts of damage. So it'll be interesting to see where speedruns go in Elden Ring, especially now that the patch is out. Like, current patch routes will be really interesting, I think. And that's one way to get out of the cave. It's so weird to think that we're in such a formative time for the Elden Ring community as a whole. Like, the game has been out for a month. It's sold 12 million copies, and things are only just starting to, you know, have more of a lifespan to it. You know, the PvP in this game. Say what you like about PvP. I know a lot of people don't like it. But for me, PvP it's really fun when the balance is there. So Dark Souls 2, for all its faults, easily had the best PvP in the series. And that's because I think it's very likely, especially with the amount of PvP covenants in the game, it's very likely that they started with the PvP and balanced it around that. And so we see a lot of bosses that are scaled, like, the bosses are scaled to weapon damage rather than weapon damage are scaled to bosses, which is an interesting way to go about it. I think we have essentially this really strange hybrid in Dark Souls 2. And okay, fuck it, I'm just getting into Dark Souls 2. But we have this strange hybrid where the PvP is the best thing about the game. But in all the other titles, the PvE has been the best thing about the game. And so we kind of need to get to this interesting train of thought where the PvE is essentially just a means to get to the good stuff. And I think that's the fault in Dark Souls 2, right? That we essentially have this really, really robust... Oh, the frames. Man, that's not even, you know, the editing software just eating the frame rate. That's just how a lot of the catacombs go. I don't know what it is. I think it's just lighting. But yeah, it's really bad sometimes. In New Game Plus, I'm excited to try out these catacombs again. I've still got, you know, a couple of the mini dungeons left to do. These hammers, by the way, I thought that they looked so cool. I want, but apparently you can only get like one per playthrough or something. But if you have two, then they do that. Like, you can do like the spinning on the chain shit. Like, I want it. I want that. One battle hammer is not good enough. If I two-hand it, then I should have two. It's the same thing with the Star Scourge greatswords that I'm currently using. If I two-hand it, I don't have one that I'm two-handing. I have two. And that's awesome. Battle hammer would be so much better if you didn't need two of them. Anyway, what was I saying? Dark Souls 2. So, Dark Souls 2 has the issue where I can sit down and I can put up with the PvE. The PvE is, unless you go to the DLC, the PvE is fine. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing particularly thrilling about the PvE in Dark Souls 2. But there are some places that it is just egregious how bad the PvE is. Like, and especially in the changes that they made in Scholar. Like, they saw that the main kind of criticism of Dark Souls 2 was, okay, this game is way too easy. For a Souls game, I should be challenged more. And they went, okay, well, the only way that I can think of to make these maps more challenging is just to plunk more enemies in them. And it is so frustrating. Because for all its faults, the actual areas in Dark Souls 2 had really good enemy placement. You know, like the areas were challenging, but that wasn't the focus, right? The focus was the bosses. And the bosses are still easy. They just made it more annoying. I don't know. It's just... It's so frustrating to me. This is me checking out the weird lighting textures. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. But hopefully, you know, now that it's patched, it'll be a little bit more stable. But, you know, I actually thought that that was an illusory wall for a second because the lighting was so weird. Which is a funny thing to think. At this point, we haven't run into any illusory walls yet, but there definitely are some. There are a lot, actually. And you know, it just makes me wonder what else is in the game that, you know, we didn't think was an illusory wall, but was. But you know. It's... yeah. Dark Souls 2 had so much potential. And the bosses in Dark Souls 2 DLC are really good. Because they had more time. Dark Souls 2 was rushed out. And so all of the bosses have really limited movesets. They don't really ramp up in, like, phases. You know, that wasn't really a thing in Dark Souls 1. It was more a thing in Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3. But... It's just... That's the thing about hitbox spawn in this game, right? Is that it never works on your side. So this is me just trying to figure out how to get up there. But essentially we have this issue, right? Where Dark Souls 2 gets rushed out and nothing, and you know, like the enemy placement's good because they had time to do that. And then I feel like they did the boss design afterwards. And so the bosses are just crammed in everywhere. They have like 41 fucking bosses because we just need bosses fucking everywhere. No, bosses should be a spectacle. You know, these guys, and it's, you know, Elden Ring kind of suffers the same problem, right? Where this Black Knife Assassin guy, obviously I'm very over leveled for this, but you know, him being here, he's already lost half his fucking health. That's really interesting, but he's just a dude. You know what I mean? Like he's not a spectacle at all. That's the interesting thing to me, right? Is that bosses should have a purpose. And instead of just being filler and being everywhere. And, you know, Elden Ring, for all of its good aspects, and I know that they can't do everything. Having 70 unique bosses in this game is amazing. They should definitely be proud of themselves for that. But that still means that there's about 30 bosses that are recycled, and that's a lot. And so I think I'm showing you guys the giant pot or giant jar or whatever he's called. I don't know. But the I don't know. It's such a detriment to me, at least. It's such a detriment to the game to just have recycled shit all over and over. You know, we get new rewards from the same thing, and you know, the Erd Tree avatars, they have quite different move sets, and so you know that's awesome. We can, you know, even though it's essentially the same boss design, they do have variations in their movesets, and I do appreciate that. Even the magma worms, you know, like the one that we fought in this video only stays on all fours, but the other one, or the other ones, because I've found 3 more, I think. Some of them are just kind of like mini bosses, like they're not actual like real bosses. But the other one that I found was, you know, like it stood on 2 legs when it got to half health. It had a ramp up phase. The ramp up phase is easier, but you know, it still has a ramp up phase, which is awesome. I you know, I like that even though they do recycle a lot of stuff. They do recycle a lot of stuff in this game. It's very hard to deny that. But even though they do, a lot of assets get reused, and you know, there's lots of, you know, samey enemies. Guardians, like what we've seen right now, those Guardians are actually different because they're in Caelid. You know, the Caelid Guardians are, you know, afflicted with scarlet rot, and so they're all like warty and gross compared to the other Guardians that we've. I think we also saw some Guardians in this episode that were very clean looking. Or maybe that's a later episode, I can't remember. I've done a lot of editing today. This fucking ambush, by the way. Also a good ambush. Annoying ambush, but a good one. So... yeah, so Elden Ring kind of gets to the stage where, you know, you run into a lot of the same things over and over again. And that's, you know, again, this game is massive. It's bound to happen. I can't expect everything to be unique in this game. You know, if I did, I would be absolutely insane. You know, like this game would have taken 10 years to make if it was, you know, if it was, like everywhere was just completely unique, nothing recycled. You know, with the amount of mini dungeons in this game, with the amount of, you know, non compulsory fucking legacy dungeons, like we've essentially gotten to the stage where we need to recycle. I just feel like there could have been less of it, you know. But really, that's a me problem. Like, it's nothing to do with From in this case. You know, they have given us far more content than we could possibly demand, and it's, you know, because they've given us so much content. It's just, you know, I'm trying to do everything that I can on this playthrough. I won't be able to. There will be shit that I just didn't find. This fucking imp, by the way. And, you know, that will make next playthrough still interesting. And because this game is so infinitely replayable, it doesn't matter. Even if I have done the thing before, you know, I can definitely cut some of it out because, you know, I don't. If I have a build that I'm really working towards, then I don't need everything. But it's oh, it's such a, I guess it's a really good problem to have that the game has too much content. You know what I mean? I mean, like, it's still a problem. And I feel like, you know, at least some of it could have been cut out. You know, but the crazy amount of, like, Ashes of War and Spirit Ashes that you can get, and, you know, all of, like, the hundreds of weapons that you can get. It's definitely a good problem to have that the game has too much variety. Yeah, I don't know. It's gotten to the stage where, especially in my playthrough, because I'm as I said, about 80 hours in, where everything means something. If I explore somewhere, then it's gonna have some you know, items or other important things that mean something to, you know, either maybe not my build, but other builds that I want. You know, I will want to, maybe I want to use like a certain Ash of War, like I want to use like an aspect of the Crucible, you know, or, you know, I'm doing Strength Intelligence right now. What if I want to do, you know, like Strength Faith or Strength Arcane? Strength Arcane has a bunch of really cool weapons that I want to try, and so it's like we can talk until we're blue in the face about all of the different things that we want to try, but it really comes down to Elden Ring has so much replayability to it, far more than any other From game. But that's because it just has endless variety. You know, I can sit here and I can, you know, hypothesize about all of the different things that I want to do in this game and just try and find the next thing to experiment. And I can, because there are literally thousands, millions of different ways that I can experiment. Not only with builds, but also with weapons and Ashes of War. And, you know, finding a Spirit Ash that I really like, because, you know, I just... Jesus, that was loud. You know, I haven't experimented enough with that kind of thing yet. You know, I've barely touched the Ashes of War because the unique weapon, or the unique weapon ashes, are also really interesting, and so I don't want to, you know, I don't want to fuck it. I just want to try everything, which is a great feeling to have. But it's also, you know, and this is something that I've been hearing from friends as well, that it's also an overwhelming feeling to have, where we essentially want to just, you know, experience everything that the game has to offer in one playthrough, and it's not possible. We can't do that. You know, we can certainly try, but it's just it's not gonna happen. You know? I think this is me just trying to figure out where to go. It takes me a while. But there's, I don't know. There's an interesting point to be made about Elden Ring having no direction. You know, I was also very cynical. I thought that the thing that made Dark Souls games great and Bloodborne great was that the game was essentially linear, that there was a very limited amount of things that you could do. I mean, certainly choice within that, you know, like especially in Sekiro you can go pretty much anywhere, but the interesting choices in that came from, okay, well, what weapon am I going to use? What build am I going to use? How can I, you know, strategize by using my build? Yeah, this is it takes me so long to figure out to jump down here. Oh god, that's just embarrassing. So, but really, it's like Elden Ring. I don't want to say that it's the Dark Souls formula perfected, because I still think that Bloodborne is better. I don't know how much better, because it will take some time, probably replaying the game again, for me to really know. Like, especially in comparison to the other From titles, it will take replaying to know. Now that I know the things that I know about the game, how can I use that to improve my play of Elden Ring? You know, I have now gotten to the stage where I am starting to think about those things, because now I know how scaling works. Now I know that, you know, I need to essentially just power level vigor really early, because if I don't, then I get fucked by even just normal enemies. And that really, that is what Dark Souls was for me. At the very start of playing Dark Souls, I started with Dark Souls 1, which was back in 2012, 2013, something like that. Because I was living with a housemate at the time who loved Dark Souls and was really excited for Dark Souls 2 to come out. This was before Dark Souls 2. But not much before. And so I started playing Dark Souls, died to the Abyss Demon, went, what the fuck is this? And then stopped. And then I came back about 3 months later, beat the, not Straight Demon, Asylum Demon. Beat the Asylum Demon, and was hooked. That was it. I loved it. You know, as you guys know, if you've watched my channel for any period of time, you know that I'm quite a noisy gamer. And Dark Souls 2 was like the pinnacle of the catharsis that I get from yelling at video games, because I yelled at Dark Souls a lot. So we've essentially gotten to the stage where now this is a new experience for me again. I can really just experience the process of learning this game again. And you know, some things carry over, obviously. Prioritizing evasion instead of blocking. There's so much to this game that, you know, still holds true no matter how often you've played this amazing series for. And that's the thing, you know, I harp on Dark Souls 2, but that's because it's a great... No, sorry. It's a good game. I want it to be a great game. And that's the frustrating thing, right? Is that, God, look at that damage. This is because I haven't leveled Vigor. And... Yeah. They hurt. They hurt a lot. I think I give up here. I'm just not gonna do it. I do come back and do it, but off camera, because, you know, it's just Watch Dogs. Fuck it. It doesn't matter. So... You know, we can try and justify, you know, that you should level Vigor. You should level Vigor. I don't know. There are two sides to every argument, and in Elden Ring there are a lot of sides to every argument. But I don't know. For me, yeah, this is me trying to figure out how to get to the big pot. The answer is in Siofra, by the way. If you have a stone sword key and you ride to the north, there's an elevator that's blocked by a stone sword key. Where all of those spirit warriors are, where you need to light the torches so that you can get to the first ancestral spirit. If you just ride north, get out of the you know, the big puddle, and just go all the way north, then eventually you'll see a oh yeah, this is me trying to figure out how to get to the Church of Anticipation. I also figured out how to do that. That's in a later episode. Spoilers. But so Elden Ring, I feel like, especially in my community, that there's a lot of pushback at having to relearn the game. And I was, and I think this you know, even just this essentially podcast has been kind of a mind changer for me, I suppose. You know, that we can...
You're tarnished, aren't you? Then perhaps you could believe it or not. I studied Glintstone.
See, I didn't even have 10 runes at that point.
For a small donation.
I didn't even have 10 runes, and I had nothing to pop, so I couldn't give him any. And so I had to go kill a zombie. 10 runes. But yeah, I think that this has been, you know, even just, you know, talking to you guys in this post commentary, whatever this is. I feel like I have managed to work through some of my issues about the game. You know, I still feel that there's definitely a design philosophy behind it. I just don't agree with that design philosophy. I don't know. It's, and we can also think about.
Teach you sorceries as only. Apologies, friend. I'm afraid
Let me let
sorceries are no match for you. Oh, right. I
I'll
can
let
tell you
Tops
what I know about this place.
talk.
That should help a bit. You've seen that structure to the north, towering over the water. That's the Academy of Rea Lucaria, where we study glintstone sorceries. Only its doors have been closed for quite some time now. After they declared they wouldn't interfere with the shattering, the Academy cast repelling seals on the east gate leading to the capital, and the south gate leading here. As you might have guessed, The seals are still active, making entry to the academy impossible without a glintstone key. And so I'm stuck here. A fledgling sorcerer with little chance of acquiring a key. When they cast the seals, I'd just popped out. And now I'm uprooted from my place of learning. Why not find yourself a glintstone key? Without one, you can't pass through the academy, and you'll never reach the Erdtree capital. And if you find an extra glintstone key, perhaps, once you've tied up all your loose ends, and I can be very patient, would you consider donating it to me? I know it. I'm a bluntstone. Nary a hint of talent for sorcery.
Okay.
But
So,
still, my place is at the academy.
but now I've forgotten where I was up to. Tops actually looks like my old housemate. He doesn't quite look like me, even though I'm also bald and have a beard. He's got that very long chin that I don't have. But yeah, so this is me just trying to figure out how to get to the Church of Anticipation. There's only one way. It's through the 4 belfries. But I didn't know that yet. So, and I only found the 4 belfries by accident. I was just exploring. So yeah. So the design philosophy for Elden Ring I certainly get now, and I think talking about this game for an hour, and I've still got 57 minutes or 55 minutes. Well, that was dumb. So yeah, definitely talking about this game for like an hour has really just, you know, I feel like that's how I figure out a lot of things, is that I talk to myself about it. You know, hearing myself think about it kind of helps me think better, if that makes sense, because, you know, I have to think about what I'm saying. And it's, I don't know. It's such a weird kind of feeling to be playing, you know, on the face of it, a game that I've been playing for, you know, over a decade now, right? Maybe not a decade. It's 2022. Nearly a decade, right? To take this series that I love so much. So that now I'm like, wait, what the fuck? How do I get over there? Yeah, so it's a weird feeling. But you know, now that I've been talking about it for so long, I feel like I'm okay with having to relearn it. You know, that Elden Ring isn't Dark Souls, and it's fine for it not to be Dark Souls. That's the other big thing, right? Is that Elden Ring is its own thing. It tries very much to be its own thing. There's a lot of things that I feel like it doesn't get right, and I think that Dark Souls does better, but I can still very much appreciate that it is doing its own thing. I don't know. It's just one of those things where, like, you see something that you love change, and sometimes it changes for the better. You know, I'm quite a big fan of heavy metal and that kind of thing. So seeing, for example, Opeth is a really good example of a change that I don't like. I love old school Opeth with, like, the, you know, the really kind of like proggy death metal, like it's awesome. But I really don't like their new kind of like prog rock direction. I know that they've refined it over time, but essentially Heritage just put me off so much that I just can't listen to any new Opeth anymore. And, you know, that's definitely a fault of mine. Like, I can't get over that Opeth used to be something completely different than what it is now. So, I don't know. It's a weird thing bringing this back to Dark Souls and Elden Ring. It's definitely a weird feeling, but I don't know if it's a bad feeling. Yeah, I don't have any Shibiri grapes at this point. I have progressed her quest, but I haven't finished it yet. So we've got lots of oh, hang on. Okay, so yeah, I'm just putting a marker there so that I can remember that she's here when I find a Shibiri grape. There is one in these ruins, by the way, but it's hidden behind a well, underneath rather, an illusory floor, because there are illusory floors in this game. I can't remember if it's here or somewhere else, but I did find this, and so I was like, okay, let's go somewhere. And this takes me to just outside Rea Lucaria, I think so. It's a really good skip. It takes you to the back of Academy Gate Town so that you don't have to deal with any of the battlements that are back that way. It's awesome. And I will definitely be using that to my advantage in pretty much every playthrough. Now that I found it by accident, I know how good it is. So, yeah. But then I go backwards through the battlements, which is also a good way to, you know, pick up the items and farm for runes and that kind of thing. But I don't really farm for runes. I do now, but that's because I know that vigor is so important. And I need to power level it in order to survive. But I think the real draw for me is the exploration. If this game didn't have as good exploration as it does, if there weren't surprises around every corner, then, you know, if the map was empty, oh my god, that would just be awful. The best thing about Elden Ring is that there is shit everywhere. And this is exactly what, going back to the original point, the game almost has too much content. That we have so much that we can do. And there's probably shit that people still haven't figured out, you know. So trying to explore as much as possible, share what we know with other members of the community. You know, it's great. And that's the other great thing about the Elden Ring surge at the moment, is the just masses of people, you know, contributing, like doing let's plays, doing I know where this sorry, wow, that just hit me out of nowhere. I know where this scarab is, by the way. It's underneath the bridge. It's in an arc underneath the bridge. So I I have gone to get it later. I don't remember what it gives. I think it's an Ash of War, but like nothing too thrilling. So I don't know. I still have another 47 minutes to talk, and I'm really running out of things to talk about. At least about this game. You know, like at least without getting into spoilers. You know, that there's so much to do that it really gets to the point where, you know, there's nothing that you just have to miss things, and then hopefully you find them in the next playthrough, or you look it up, which is also a perfectly acceptable thing.
Your feet. Oh. Michaela's favor can be yours. Slaughter. 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 The all-hearing slaughtered. But alas, it was for naught. But all you need to is snatch it from the big pot.
See, the big pot. I don't know if it's referring to the giant jar that we've seen in this episode, or if it's talking about Alexander. I don't know. I still haven't finished Alexander's quest line, mostly because I don't know where he is. I have been avoiding looking up too much stuff. Obviously there are some things that I look up. Basically just like, essentially just using it as like a hint. So you know, I can see where I'm supposed to be going, and then I stop. You know what I mean? Like with dungeons that I can't figure out where I'm supposed to go. There are dungeons where you have to fall below the elevator. Oh, the frame rate is getting really bad. I don't know what it is. It might be the rain, because it wasn't raining before. But it's I don't know. I played a little bit last night after the patch came out, but not a huge amount. So I'm hoping that all of these stability issues that we've been facing for however long are gone. And then I heard the Caled machine aggroing at me, and so I was like, okay, no, I'm getting out of here. I still don't know, because I don't think I've ever come back and checked, but I don't know if when you break these battlements, they respawn. I don't know. This fucking Caled machine. Look at it. It just drives right through. And I'm just like, nope, 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 nope. I mean, I call them Caled machines. I honestly don't know if they are from Caled. That was just the first time that I saw them, was in Caled. They're freaky though. Oh, they're... Ugh. Like the big face? Why? Why is it a big face? It's so freaky. I wish that there was more lore about them, honestly. I would love that. Oh, Smithing Stone 3, damn. That's pretty good. Yeah. It's... Yeah, I think I go down the stairs, look to the right, and then I go, oh! So, I guess instead of just talking about Elden Ring, obviously we'll come back to it. But I guess, you know, I should explain where I'm at the moment. The kind of projects that I want to do. Yeah, see? There it is. I don't know how to get it. There's a crab down there. And I didn't want to deal with the crab. I think I might have to go back. Now that I'm really over leveled, I can probably just kill the crab and then get that scarab. Probably I had a giant butthole. God. I also wish that you could use these. Even just, you know, because it'd be fun. Just let me have fun. But yeah. Yeah, and then we're down here. Which is, you know, Academy Gate Town. Which I've been to. And I don't know why I'm running around, but it's fine. More exploration. You know, that's the whole game. So where am I at the moment? I've been homeless for a little while. Staying with a friend. I've been staying with him since... Oh, I don't even know. November? And it's now mid-March, so I've been here for about 4 months. You know, I am so endlessly grateful to Aiden for letting me stay here. You know, I get to work here. I get to, you know, just live here. I still obviously contribute, but it's, you know, the generosity that Aiden has shown me has just been really humbling and really moving. And, you know, I hope to God that Aiden is never in this situation, but if he ever is, and I'm in a position to help him, then, you know, without a second thought, I will help. You know, and I'd like to think that, you know, all of, not all of my friends, but like if it was, you know, if it was someone else as well, you know, someone else is in really hard times and I have my own place again, then I can look after them too. You know, yeah, it's been a weird couple of months. I have deferred this semester of university. I just, yeah, with, you know, homelessness and a whole bunch of other things that happened last year. Like, it just wasn't. I wasn't in the right place to study, so I've just been working. I've been tutoring for the last couple of months.
Lanya. Oh, Lanya. It's me, Dielos. Answer me, would you? Hello, friend. Tell me if you know, would you? The whereabouts of the hidden house of those despicable fiends. The recusants who hunt their fellow tarnished. They laid hands upon my servant Lanya, and I refused to let the insult stand. The tale of House Hoslow is told in blood.
So,
I, Dielos, swear to deliver the message.
yeah. So, that, you know, I've just been working. I work 6 days a week now, so, but, you know, only for a couple of hours a day. It's been good though, you know. All that I really have to worry about, I don't have to worry about, you know, other things. All that I really have to worry about is where my food's coming from and work, which is where my food's coming from. So it's, I don't know. It's been helpful to help me try and recuperate, I suppose, after this really just awful time that I've been having the last couple of months. And you know, obviously that's because of Aiden's generosity, and I never thank him enough. He's getting married soon, by the way. That's a really cool thing. I know you guys don't know Aiden because he hasn't been on the channel before, but he's quite an old friend. I met him pretty much right after I moved out of home at the end of high school. So yeah, there was you know, a lot of drunken nights together, and we got to know each other. And yeah, he's a really great friend. We've actually been talking about doing a podcast together, because there are just times, especially now that we live together, there are just times where we just sit and just talk for like 6 hours. And so we were just like, hey, why don't we just, you know, make a podcast? So maybe that'll happen, maybe it won't. But that's another thing that I wanted to talk about, was like projects going forth, because I do have a couple that I want to do. So the first project that I really want to get done is the Final Fantasy VII Remake review. I've just been so sucked in by Elden Ring that I haven't actually recorded the footage for my review. I mean, I could use the footage that I got from I could use the footage that I got from, you know, just playing on the channel, you know. But I don't know. I just feel like playing it again, you know. I feel like if it's fresher in my mind, then it'll make for a better review. Even though, you know, most of the script is done at this point, but I obviously have to edit it, and, you know, it's only the first draft, so there's still a lot of changes that can take place. I still need to finish Integrate on hard mode, which will be really fun. What else do I need to do? I need to finish the Integrate script, because I can't really comment on the Integrate combat until I do hard mode. That being said, though, like it's amazing. I love I love how that video is going to turn out. You know, like I have been, you know, there have been many late nights trying to get my thoughts onto, well, not paper, but you know what I mean. So that's the big project. Another big project that I wanted to do was something to do with Elden Ring. I'm not too sure if it'll also be in a review style. It could be. I you know, like I really want to talk about the game, and especially after I've done, like, maybe not all of the content required for the platinum, but certainly a lot of it. You know, I want to be knowledgeable when I go into the review. I want it to be quite comprehensive, even though, you know, obviously I'm not going to be able to review everything. Frames are taking a dip again. So yeah, I want to do something on Elden Ring. I want to do something, maybe, I'm not quite sure what yet. You know, maybe it might just be that I just want to do some kind of review, or maybe like a compare and contrast with other From titles. You know, as a Souls veteran, what are the differences and what makes Elden Ring unique, that kind of thing. But that could probably take, you know, a section of a review or something. So it's gonna be interesting to see the kind of thought processes that my mind takes while on this project, or on these projects. The FF7 one is pretty solidified, but that's because I know the game inside and out at this point. The Elden Ring one is very much up in the air. You know, as we've been, you know, as I've been talking about for the last little bit, it's very much a game that I want to know more about, you know, and that's definitely gonna happen as more data comes out, as more people do, like, you know, the number crunching and that kind of thing, where we can really figure out, okay, the soft cap for, you know, offensive levels like strength and dex is, you know, 60 or 70 or whatever. I've heard some people say 60, I've heard some people say 70. It really is just up in the air for me. I don't know anything about it. So yeah. I thought I was gonna make that jump. It turns out I was not gonna make that jump. I'm sure someone has made that jump though. I'm pretty sure that there's a message at the top of that. That's just me being an asshole to that wolf. But yeah, it's, I don't know. There's so much that I don't know that I want to know about Elden Ring. And that's, you know, it's a great feeling. You know, that feeling of discovery that I've been missing from the Souls series for so long. It's back, you know, and it's really nice. And after we get all the numbers and we can figure out what's the best kind of like optimal way to make a build, then we can start actually making like good solid builds. At this point I just don't know enough about it. I would love to, but I don't yet. Some of Smithing Stone 2. Ah, that's very quaint. I remember when Summer Smithing Stone 2 was a big deal. Yeah, what else? I was gonna do a Ghost of Tsushima. I was gonna do a Ghost of Tsushima review in the same kind of style as FF7 and Elden Ring. But I don't know. Especially after playing Horizon Zero Dawn. Especially after playing Elden Ring. I feel like if I was to do a Ghost of Tsushima review now, it would be a comparison to those games, and I don't feel that that's doing it justice. I think because if you've either watched the VODs or you were hanging out with me on stream while I was playing Ghost of Tsushima, then you know that I love that game. But especially with hindsight being what it is, it definitely doesn't stick in my mind as much. I have gotten to the stage where it's just not. Like, looking back on it, I just don't think about it. I think about Elden Ring constantly. I think about Horizon Zero Dawn constantly. I don't think about Ghost of Tsushima, and I don't know why that is. Maybe it's got something to do with the enemy design. There's only so much that you can do with actual dudes, right? We don't have any fantasy elements in Tsushima, and so maybe it just doesn't stick as well for me. It's cool if it does for you, please. Like, if Tsushima is your favorite game, then, or even if you love it, and I loved it, right? Like, the combat is amazing. The kind of like emphasis on the stance changes, and you can do stealth, but only if you want to, and like it's not compulsory stealth. Like, you can just rush in. If you're good at the combat, then you can just rush in and fucking kill everyone, and that's awesome. It feels awesome to do that, but you don't fight fucking giants with no stomach and like half their head. You know what I mean? And these giants are like made out of tree or something. Like, I don't know what these giants are made of, but they're awesome. And even though there's 20 fucking billion of them in the game, I love that they're here. I love that their moveset changes based on if they're tied to the fucking carriage or not. Because they're so much less mobile when they're tied to the carriage, and it makes total sense. And yeah, I don't know. I think that Ghost of Tsushima is brought down by the fact that it tries to be realistic. And not every game needs to be fantasy. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that for me, a lot of the interest comes from, I'm not just fighting a dude, you know? I'm fighting a giant dude that's got a fucking, like, the whole reason that he's dragging the carriage behind him is because he's been harpooned through his body, and that's why he's like, he doesn't hold on to the chains. There's no like chain around his neck or whatever. It's in him. It's awesome. It's that kind of like really cool fantasy stuff that really draws me. And we do get some of that fantasy stuff, right? Like we get, especially with, what's they called? Like the legends? Not legends. You know what I mean though, right? Like the mythical tales. The ones where you can get like legendary gear. Then it's just like, it's just that little bit that really brings it, that really heightens it up. And I think that the duels are the best part of that game. Oh my god, the duels are amazing in Tsushima. Like, just one-on-one fucking fights. The camera is really focused in on you. All you can see is the other dude. You can't see anyone else because no one else is trying to fuck with you about that. They're just like, okay, if there are other dudes, then we're gonna honor it. We're gonna see this duel happen. You know? And there are so many like good duels. That is Tsushima's combat perfected. It is absolutely perfect in what they did with the duels. And like, I want to say all of these things in a review. I want to say the best thing about Tsushima. I wish that there was a boss rush mode where all we did was fucking duels. That would be amazing. But we don't get that. All we get is, you know, a couple of duels spread out about the place. Some fights, some stealth sections. You know, there's, I don't know. It's, I feel like the Tsushima that I have in my head is way more interesting than the Tsushima that they actually made. And you know, I want to like, if you know, I want to do it justice. I want to say, fuck, the only thing that makes Tsushima bad is the you know, the lack of enemy variety, which there totally is. There's definitely enemy, but it's not the only one. I feel like if there was more exploration, you know, if we could climb anywhere, and that's another thing, right? Like, we do get climbing in Tsushima, but it is very limited. You know, it's like Horizon Zero Dawn, honestly. But like Horizon Zero Dawn came before Breath of the Wild, and that was, I think, the game changer. Elden Ring is not trying to be Breath of the Wild, and I would argue that Tsushima isn't either. But there's a big difference in a game that doesn't have climbing and a game that does, and there's absolutely a distinction that needs to be drawn between games that have very limited climbing and games that have freeform. If I can climb anything, that is instantly way more freedom than where I can only climb, you know, a ledge that's marked out with a yellow rope, or a white kind of like scuff mark on the lip, so that I know that it's actually climbable. There's... especially after playing Breath of the Wild, it just killed all semblance of like cool climbing for me. Like, because Breath of the Wild just did it perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. And you know, Genshin Impact, which I also play quite a lot, as you've probably seen on this channel. Genshin Impact does the smart thing and basically just rips off Breath of the Wild. And I feel like that is the one thing that all open world games should do. And even not open world games. If you have climbing, you should be able to climb anything. You know, as long as there is a foothold. Sometimes even not. You know, if you just want a fucking, you know, a vaguely rocky texture on your cliffs to climb, please, just do that. You know, if I can climb anything, then I know that you have paid attention to the world design of your game. That's the important thing to me. Is that because we can climb everywhere in Breath of the Wild, in Genshin, I know that the world has been meticulously designed. And I know that in Elden Ring, the world has also been meticulously designed. I can feel it. But the fact that I can't climb to the top of a really high place, the fact that I can't, and, you know, limit it, obviously, limit it for like the rises and stuff like that where you need to do the puzzle instead of just climbing on the outside. But obviously limited in that way. But I know that this world is so richly designed. But I can't see it. You know what I mean? Like, I can't climb up to the top of the vantage point and, you know, scope out, like, ooh, what's that interesting thing over there? And then, this was a really cool find, by the way. This, like, just a mariner, just sitting out here in the middle of nowhere. It was awesome. I loved just stumbling across this. Just a mariner. It's right here. What's it doing here? I don't know, but it's awesome. I'm gonna kill it. And so that's the... You know, I know that this world is awesome. I know. Let me fucking climb to the top of that fucking spire that you can see in the middle of the screen in the distance over there. Let me climb to the top of that. Let me experience it. You know what I mean? I really feel that still Breath of the Wild pioneered a new wave. And I that was unintentional in the context of this fight. And this guy just making a wave and killing his own skeletons. But it pioneered a new wave of open world games. And the longer that it takes for people to push back on that, to not understand that the freedoms that Breath of the Wild gave open world games are a good thing, you know, because they demonstrate more than, you know, it's really hard to not find beauty in the design of Breath of the Wild. Once again, obviously we find that things are repetitive in Breath of the Wild. There's, you know, some of the what are they called? Shrines. Some of the shrines are just, you know, they're copy-paste. But once again, there's 120 of them, so it makes sense that some of them would be copy-paste. It's the same thing here, you know. There's only so much puzzles, well, so many puzzles, sorry. I was gonna say only so much you can do. But there's only so many puzzles that you can make with only 4 abilities. You know what I mean? So but yeah, Breath of the Wild. It's perfect, you know, or as close to perfect as games can get. Really. At least in terms of the open world formula. Like I think that Bloodborne is certainly a better game than Breath of the Wild, but not by much. You know, I really, really appreciate what Breath of the Wild did for video games, and you know, one of its successes, Genshin Impact, is what I play pretty much every day. You know, it's obviously got its own issues, like the predatory monetization. But you know, for me, I can you know have the self-control to not really make that bad for me, you know. And I'm not saying that this is okay. I'm just saying that, or you know, that essentially I don't have an issue with this, and so therefore there's no issue. You know what I mean? The hyper monetization of games as a whole is a blight. It needs to be stopped right now. And we can see this all the time, you know, that essentially video games are a business instead of an art, as they should be. And, you know, maybe that's my gamer naivete talking rather than, you know, actual experience, but I don't know. If it was, you know, if it was just a game that I could enjoy, I could get the characters that I enjoy, I could unlock them during gameplay instead of, you know, whatever the fuck they have to do, spend however much money trying to what's the word? Oh, I can't think of the word right now. Trying to limit yourself. That's definitely the way that I would say it, you know. Obviously, you do have a hard limit, like, if you do want to spend money on Genshin, which, you know, sometimes I do, then you do have to impose that self-control on yourself. And, you know, it's not always an easy thing. And for some people, it's impossible if they have impulse issues. Oh, my favorite NPC. Hang on. Hi, Muriel.
You're tarnished, aren't you? I welcome you to the Church of Vows. I am Muriel, steward of this sacred chamber. My apologies for the unseemly state of affairs. Do you know the origin of this place? How it came to be known as the Church of Vows? Well, that is a shame. But who can blame you? The shattering has caused us all of us to lose sight of something very dear. It is here, at the Church of Vows, that the great houses of the Erd Tree and the Moon were joined by the matrimonial bond between red-haired Radagon and Renala of the Full Moon. And so our church holds in view the monuments of both houses, the Erd Tree of the capital and the Academy of Rea Lucaria. Oh, was there something you needed? You are free to show yourself around. I would serve as your guide, only my legs aren't what they used to be. Unless, perhaps, you are in search of instruction, in which case I will share all that I know. You wish to know more of Lord Radagon. Lord Radagon was a great champion, possessed of flowing red locks. He came to these lands at the head of a great golden host. When he met Lady Renala in battle, he soon repented his territorial aggressions there, and became husband to the Carian queen. However, when Godfrey, first Elden Lord, was hounded from the lands between, Radagon left Renala to return to the Erd Tree capital, becoming Queen Marika's second husband and king consort, taking the title of Second Elden Lord. The mystery endures to this day as to why Lord Radagon would cast Lady Renala aside, and moreover, why a mere champion would be chosen for the seat of Elden Lord. You wish to know more of Lady Renala. She is queen, head of the Carian royal family, and governor of the Academy of Rea Lucaria, the great and beautiful full moon witch. Sadly, her heart was broken when Lord Radagon left her.
Yeah, so he's adorable. I love him.
She was locked away
So
in the Grand Library.
we can give him scrolls and stuff, so he can teach us sorceries. He's not the only one. There are definitely some other NPCs that can teach us sorceries. I just didn't run into them yet. Speaking of which, I still need to find that guy, Lucette. But you won't see him for quite a while, I don't think. So, what was I talking about? Freedom, Breath of the Wild. Freedom in video games is, I would say, in some ways overrated, in some ways necessary. I think that freedom in video games is one of the main reasons why unless it's like a very story-driven game, I think it's one of the reasons why there are no, like, pretty much no good video game adaptations, like, for either TV or movies. And we can see this, right? That the fucking Halo show is coming out right now, and it looks absolutely garbage because they're just, like, they're taking a new stance on old material. But the reason that people have such a connection to that old material, which, you know, theoretically we can just say, okay, well, you know, it's a new thing, let it do its own thing. Cool. But if it's basically a retake of a story that we already know, and especially a video game story, I think a video game story is the worst thing that we can use to take a retake on, right? Because it's not really, it's not the character that experiences a video game, it's you. And so when we get to the point where video games are being adapted into either TV or movies or whatever, then oh god, these fucking snipers are nightmares. Yeah, this is me hearing a walking coliseum. Sorry, a walking mausoleum, not a coliseum. But I didn't recognize that it was one because it didn't have a bell. Like, I couldn't hear the bell because the only one that I'd heard so far was with a bell. But yeah, video game adaptations typically don't work because it's us that experiences it, not the character. You know, we can have cutscenes of the character experiencing something, and that's what they experience. But the rest of the game is not something that. Holy shit! Why? Why is that so fucking loud? I'm sorry. You probably don't even hear it, but. All of the gameplay, all of the thing that makes us like a game is completely missing from a video game adaptation. And so it's pretty much impossible to make a good adaptation without just completely rewriting like a whole story. You can't just adapt. If you adapt, then it's messy. Anyway. I have made it to the end. So, thank you so much for watching. Me just rambling for however long this took. I really appreciate you watching and hanging out, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye bye.